Imagine standing in the world's most famous museum, admiring priceless art, when suddenly you hear the sound of breaking glass above you. Security guards start running, alarms blare, people are shouting, get out, evacuate." In those 7 chaotic minutes on a Sunday morning in October 2025, 4 thieves just pulled off one of the most audacious museum heists in modern history, stealing Napoleon's crown jewels worth $102 million from the Louvre in Paris. And here's the terrifying part. They did it while hundreds of tourists were already inside. October 19th, 2025, started like any other Sunday at the Louvre Museum. At exactly 9:30 in the morning, just 30 minutes after the doors opened to the public, a furniture elevator truck pulled up to the side of the building. 4 men stepped out wearing bright yellow construction vests, the kind you'd see anywhere in Paris during renovation season. They set up orange traffic cones around their truck like they owned the place. To anyone walking by, it looked completely normal. Workers doing maintenance on one of the world's most visited museums. But these weren't workers. They were thieves about to execute a meticulously planned robbery that would shock France to its core. The truck they drove wasn't just any vehicle. It was equipped with a mobile freight elevator and an extendable metal ladder on the back. Within seconds, they deployed the ladder, extending it up to the 2nd floor of the museum, directly to the Apollo Gallery. This wasn't random. The Apollo Gallery houses some of France's most treasured possessions, the French crown jewels, including pieces worn by Napoleon Bonaparte, his wives, and French empresses throughout the 19th century. The thieves knew exactly where they were going. They had done their homework. 2 of the robbers climbed the ladder and stepped onto a thin balcony with a metal railing outside the gallery windows. They pulled out angle grinders, industrial power tools capable of cutting through almost anything. The high-pitched scream of metal cutting glass shattered the morning calm. Within 30 seconds, they had cut through the window and were inside. The alarm system triggered immediately, but it didn't matter. These thieves were fast. Tour guide Ryan El-Mandari was leading a group of tourists through the Apollo room at that exact moment. He heard what sounded like heavy stomping on the window above. Before he could process what was happening, museum security staff came running, then suddenly turned around and started shouting at everyone to evacuate. Ryan tried to keep his group calm, but nobody knew what was happening. They heard the noise, they saw the panic, but according to Ryan, they had no clue it was a robbery until much later. Inside the Apollo Gallery, the 2 thieves moved with frightening efficiency. They aimed their angle grinders at 2 specific display cases labeled Napoleon jewels and French crown jewels. The reinforced glass shattered under the assault of the power tools. Then they grabbed, fast, a diamond and sapphire diadem featuring 24 Ceylon sapphires and 1,083 diamonds, once worn by Queen Marie-Amélie and Queen Hortense. An emerald necklace containing 32 intricately cut emeralds and 1,138 diamonds, a wedding gift from Napoleon to his 2nd wife Marie-Louise in March 1810. Matching emerald earrings, a pearl and diamond tiara with 212 pearls and nearly 2,000 diamonds, a large bow brooch from Empress Eugenie's bodice containing more than 2,538 diamonds. They took 9 pieces in total, 9 pieces of French history, 9 pieces of heritage that had survived revolutions, wars, and centuries, all gone in 4 minutes. The thieves climbed back down the ladder, their bags heavy with royal treasures, but in their rush, they made a critical mistake. As they descended, one of them dropped a crown, the crown of Empress Eugenie, wife of Napoleon III. It was an ornate gold piece featuring 1,354 diamonds and 56 emeralds. It hit the ground hard and was damaged in the fall. But the thieves couldn't stop. They left it behind, along with their tools, 2 angle grinders, a blowtorch, gasoline, gloves, a walkie-talkie, and a blanket, all evidence. But they had no time. They jumped onto two Yamaha T-Max scooters, high-performance motorcycles with powerful 5-HC engines, and tore off along the Seine River toward Highway A6, heading southeast in the direction of Lyon. By the time police arrived, the thieves were gone. The Louvre was in chaos. Hundreds of tourists were evacuated. Armed soldiers surrounded the iconic glass pyramid entrance. The museum closed for the rest of the day for the first time in recent memory for what officials called exceptional reasons. French President Emmanuel Macron took to social media calling the theft an attack on a heritage that we cherish because it is our history. He vowed that everything would be done to recover the stolen pieces and bring the perpetrators to justice. French Justice Minister Gérald Darmanin was more blunt in his assessment. He admitted on France Inter Radio that the Louvre had failed to secure the windows, failed to prevent a furniture lift from being parked on a public road right next to the museum. The French people all feel like they've been robbed, he said, and he was right. The total value of the stolen jewelry, according to Paris prosecutor Laure Becquot, is estimated at 88 million euros, about 102 million US dollars. But as she told French radio station RTL, the economic damage pales in comparison to the historical damage. These aren't just expensive jewels. They're pieces of French national identity, artifacts that connect modern France to its imperial past. And now experts fear they may never be recovered. Christopher Marinello, founder of Art Recovery International, warned that if the thieves are only interested in quick cash, they might melt down the precious metals or recut the stones with no regard for the piece's historical integrity. "We need to break up these gangs and find another approach," Marinello told CNN, "or we're going to lose things that we are never going to see again." About 100 investigators are now working the case. They're examining the abandoned truck for DNA and fingerprints, a painstaking process that requires building a tent around the vehicle to properly fume it for prints. They've tracked down one of the Yamaha scooters used in the escape, but the trail has gone cold. No arrests have been made. The investigation is considering all possibilities, including whether this was an inside job. French Culture Minister Rachida Dati noted that the thieves knew exactly where they were going. "It looks like something very organized and very professional." And she's not wrong. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. This was a carefully planned operation executed by people who understood museum security, timing, and escape routes. This heist fits into a disturbing new trend in art crime. Thieves are increasingly targeting cultural institutions, not for famous paintings, which are too recognizable to sell, but for artifacts that can be dismantled, stripped, or melted down for their expensive parts. Museums are seen as soft targets by criminal organizations, while places like the Louvre have intense security around marquee works like the Mona Lisa, which is protected by bulletproof glass, and high-tech display systems. Other valuable items in less famous galleries can be more vulnerable. The brazen nature of this robbery, carried out during daylight hours while the museum was full of visitors, represents what experts are calling a worrying escalation in museum crime. Interestingly, this isn't the first time thieves have targeted the Louvre. Back in 1976, 3 burglars climbed scaffolding on the side of the museum, smashed a window and glass casing, and stole the diamond-studded sword used in the coronation of King Charles X in 1824. That case remains unsolved to this day. The sword is still missing. Will history repeat itself with Napoleon's crown jewels? Only time will tell. As of now, 8 of the 9 stolen pieces remain unaccounted for. Interpol has added them to its database of stolen artworks and artifacts, and French authorities are working with international partners to track them down. But with each passing day, the chances of recovery diminish. The jewels could already be out of France, possibly out of Europe entirely, making their way through the shadowy networks of international art and jewelry crime. The Louvre has reopened, but the wound remains fresh. Author Elaine Sciolino, who wrote Adventures in the Louvre, How to Fall in Love with the World's Greatest Museum, called this robbery a dagger into the heart of France and French history. The Louvre was originally built as a fortress before becoming a palace for French royalty. It represents not just art and culture, but the very story of France itself. And now, a piece of that story has been ripped away. So here's the question for you. Do you think the stolen Napoleon jewels will ever be recovered, or have they already been destroyed and sold off piece by piece? What would you do if you discovered one of these stolen treasures being sold somewhere? Don't forget to follow us. See you in the next story.